Hey everybody, JoelImportSauce.com, and today I wanted to talk to you about the anatomy of this P1 K04 turbo, commonly found on S40s, C30s, V50s, and C70s, the 2.5 turbo model, of course. So stick around, we're going to show you all the parts of this thing that you can't see when it's in the car because it's buried between the firewall and the engine block, and you might learn something. Stick around. Okay, everybody, as you know, we are in the middle of the T5 engine, the full rebuild. We don't have much left here. We got an axle boot that we're trying to source. We're going to do another video on that. There is an issue that we have with this boot, and this axle is not genuine Volvo, and it is not the axle that it should be. So I have tracked down a solution. I'm going to show you that because it may come in handy. We've got a few more parts to order. We have to get our new oscillation damper, our harmonic balancer there, and then we've already ordered all these timing plastic covers there. So, don't mind this, we just got some overspray from some cleaning solutions. We're gonna clean this up. But essentially, maybe the only thing that you've ever seen of your turbo is going to be the top of the exhaust manifold. And the reason that I have it hanging this way is because this is kind of the orientation that you would have in, in the engine bay. And if you've done anything like your wastegate actuator, or maybe your blow-off recirculation valve, then you may have, come in and kind of seen this from the side, up inside the wheel well there. But this is a good opportunity to kind of, see everything. And that way when you're wrenching, you kind of have a visual of what you're looking at, right? So let's start off up here. Obviously we have the exhaust manifold, right? You have your 5 ports. If it was non-turbo, they just simply go down into the, into the exhaust system with a couple of bolts, and none of this even exists. Obviously there's a gasket that goes on the back of that, and then you have all of the studs and the washers. Those are the double-ended studs that screw into the block. This goes onto those, and then a nut and a washer goes onto those. The top 3 are going to be your heat shield. So, you're taking those off, and that will pull the heat shield off and give you access there. Let's just simply talk exhaust gases, right? They're going to flow through here, and then this is going to connect to your downpipe. You have the 3 bolts that go on there, as well as your gasket that connects up to the downpipe there. And then inside, obviously, this housing, when the exhaust gases come out, we can see there is our, let's see if I can get it to spin for you. And not, right. And then right there, you can see where the wastegate, the actuator, is going to open up and put function on that door there. So when it needs to, it can expel some of that extra pressure or gases that it needs to that are flowing through maybe this side. Over on the top, let's take a look at the lines, right? So we're going to have an oil feed in and an oil return out. So starting off, that is this hard pipe. We've already kind of loosened it, but if you take a look at the top, it is going to be these guys that go into there and hold that so that the oil can flow through the tube, through the bolt, and then into the turbo. Once the oil goes in there, it does come from the block over here. So essentially it is bolted up there, comes in, does its thing, and then down the bottom, whoosh, and then this hard pipe with a gasket on it just sits pretty much as you see it right down into the engine block or bed pan, not in the oil pan. It is a bit higher in the assembly, so that goes there. We definitely have a new gasket already sitting aside for that as well. Let's take a look at some of the other items that we have here, right? So your air intake is way up at the front of the car. It comes over and behind the engine block, almost kind of on top of this, and then creeps right down into there. We can kind of give you a visual with the elevate pipe, you know, something, let me see if you can get far enough out, something like that, right? So let's put that back over there. So the air comes through and then drops into this air inlet, right? And then as it is interacting inside the housing here, it is going to spin and pop out the bottom. And this is where your I'll call it the hard pipe, as Elevate calls it. We have the Elevate hard pipe, which then takes this down, and it crosses under at a diagonal and pops into your intercooler up on the driver's side. It then goes through the driver's side, from driver's side to passenger, and at that point it creeps up and comes up and then feeds into your intake plenum, intake manifold, throttle body, you know, that whole assembly there before it enters the block. So that is the airflow on these guys. Let's take a look at some of the accessories that you can get for this. The recirculation valve, we have the Elevate Turbo Smart one there, and I love how Elevate included the you know, these style ports for the vacuum line, because you can see here against that factory hardline oil feed in, it's essentially impossible to have the one that just sticks out straight. The other is the Elevate Spec Turbo Smart wastegate actuator on there. And same thing, it comes with that really nice spinny port, so you can kind of, you know, get your hoses where you need them to be. Some of the other connections, or I guess another upgrade, is we went ahead and got the oil feed hose. This is a soft hose, right? So when we were installing this, it was nearly impossible, right? This is up inside of your wheel well on the passenger side. You have subframe and other chassis stuff in the way, and then on top of that you have this hard line which is bolted on. You know, you can't move that thing in the way, so it made it very difficult to get, as you can see, those three screws when the turbo is installed in the vehicle. So this is a great upgrade. It's very affordable. Is going to be this flexible pipe that is going to install on there and then just allow some movement. It's just better than kind of having these old dinky hard lines that are in the way. You can't move them. So speaking of hard lines, we have two here. This is going to be our coolant in and out, right? So coolant comes in, and it also has its own little spot in there to keep everything cool. And one comes in and one returns back out to both attached to rubber hoses that attach to your cooling system there. There are 4 ports, vacuum line ports on this turbo as well. So we are going to put the link up so that you guys can grab this picture as well. But if you take a close look, it is showing us that, you know, and that's the factory turbo control valve. We'll also put the link if you guys have the Elevate turbo control valve, but essentially it's the same thing. We have a hose that is coming off of the actuator that goes in there. We have a hose that is coming off of you know, the inlet air there, and then we also have our last one. Let's take a look where that one goes, up and over to the front right there. And those are the 3 that come off the factory turbo control valve. Same thing with the Elevate one. So this is cool. We're going to put this aside because as we are putting this car back together, we kind of just unplugged everything. And you might be saying, well, wait a minute, where does this extra one go? This is a 4th hose. That one reconnects and goes all the way back up to the front of the head and links in there. I don't remember exactly, but if you've installed like a turbo pressure gauge, then you know the line that you tee into is the one that goes up and through. Actually, let's take a look here. It kind of fishes over and runs inside the on here under the plastic timing cover. And then the last thing that we kind of have that's of note is going to be this breather valve as well. So we're checking this out and we're like, oh, this thing kind of has some movement, and we're like, well, man, is that thing broken? No, it's actually just a check valve. So this is 19 millimeter. This comes out, and what it is air is allowed to escape, but this way, but it's not allowed to pressurize in. So that's probably just another breather that if there's extra pressure, it vents out. And this hose again goes back up and to the front. I'm not sure, but I think it goes somewhere. It might even go back into the PCV system. So this is kind of a quick look. One thing we wanted to note out on these hard coolant lines is we did just find out that there is a company, and we'll put the link and put a picture up here, called Mambotech or Mambatech, and they make soft lines similar to the Elevate oil line for these as well, which they look good, and it just gives you some more flexibility should you have to get in there and mess with stuff. And you know, like in a situation like this where we're doing a full T5 engine rebuild, everything's out, and you know, if you got extra funds for the build, then you know, that's another accessory that you can upgrade as well. So hopefully that helped you out, and you have a little bit more understanding on the Volvo T5 K04 turbo setup.